I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. A real treat. A guy we don't have on near enough. He's just a smart guy, has a very unusual take on things. A lot of times he's right. He's got 30 years experience in finance. He worked for more than a decade with GATA, still does, not as much as he used to, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. He has the very popular website, roadtoruta.com. It is Bix Weir. Bix Weir, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Hey, Greg, it's great to be here. Very exciting time.
Very exciting times. I mean, the Democrats, Republicans, what we have going on in the country, the all-out attack by the legacy propaganda media, and that's what they are because they're not fair at all. What do you make of what's going on? You have the Democrats blocking Donald Trump's nominations for his cabinets. You have California, the state you're living in, that wants to have a sanctuary state. How does this play in with the money question, the monetary question? The collapsing Federal Reserve System.
Well, it's all tied together. I believe that Trump should not have won without Bernie Sanders. I had said all along that Trump and Sanders were kind of the left-right side of the good guys, and Sanders is now on board saying he's ready to support Trump. But you're really losing half the country, and yeah, the left is going nuts. And they say they're not violent, but they're causing all these riots and protests everywhere. It'll get worse before it gets better. I am convinced that this takedown of the bad guys is going to get a lot uglier especially because the left-leaning people through Obama have been given so many rights that aren't in the Constitution and aren't anywhere in a capitalistic society. It's more towards socialism, and when you try to take away the rights given to socialists, they get armed and they go into the streets.
When you say take down of the bad guys, I don't want to undersell that at all. I mean, you have bad guys on the right. You have what I call the criminal crony class, which is Democrat and Republican. That's why you have people like, whenever you want to bash Trump, call up John McCain or Lindsey Graham. They never criticized President Obama, the guy on the other side of the aisle, as much as they criticized the leader of their own party. But what do you make of this whole California, sanctuary state? I contend it is an attack on their power. The illegal voting, the voter fraud, the election fraud, the massive immigration. They don't have any ideas, so they're going to bring people in that'll vote for their crappy ideas.
Well, that's true. And basically the immigration issue and the voting issue is all an attack on free will, and it's a move towards socialism, because they know that if they open the borders, you're going to get a lot of people coming in who will vote Democratic, vote for the free things they get from society. And Ron Paul had some great ideas on how to end this, and it's not by blocking the borders, it's stopping giving away the free stuff. Don't give them free education. Don't give them free health care. Remove our troops from places around the world that make people hate us, so you don't have to worry about terrorism because we're not doing anything to other people. There's a lot of great ideas. Closing the border is one of them. Every country has to have a secure state. But the problem lies in that Obama already let 10 million of these guys in here, and they're going to cause as much trouble as they can. So, yeah, it's not looking good. California may vote to secede from the union, but what California doesn't know is that the federal government owns, I think it's 46% of all the land in California that is mineral rich, meaning gold, silver, oil. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting on what California votes to do.
Do you think they'll actually vote to secede? And wouldn't that start a huge battle? I mean, armed conflict? That'd be like the Civil War revisited, Civil War Part 2.
Well, that would be the California National Guard against the U.S. military, so it wouldn't be much of a fight. Yes, the left likes to talk a lot and say, yeah, we want open borders. So if California became its own country, what are they going to do? Open the borders, and it's going to just turn out like Germany. They can't afford to pay for all these people their health care and get them jobs and teach them and school them for free. All this stuff they want for free. Everybody coming into this country wants things for free, and the left leaning, the college students and things like that, and welfare workers, They're all used to getting things for free, and it's great. Socialism's great until you run out of other people's money, and that's the problem we're running up against. So will it happen? I'm not so sure. There's just so many complications. What would they use for money? What would that do to the economic system? I think before that question even comes up, we're going to have an economic problem.
Well, before we get into the economic problem, Donald Trump is attacking their power base. I mean, I suspect they will not secede from the Union. They would implode. I mean, they would implode so fast it wouldn't even be funny. They're already an underwater, heavily indebted state per capita. So, I mean, they're living in fantasy land anyway. But do you think Trump will be successful in attacking this illegal immigration, voter fraud, election fraud? All of it was laid out, in the election. We found out all this stuff, in the election. Do you think he'll be successful? And if he's successful, what effect will it have on the dollar, on the economy, and all the other stuff?
Well, I do think, he obviously has the right and the power as president to stop anybody from coming into the country, and that's the law. And you saw the assistant attorney general try to stop Obama, and stop Trump. I mean, yeah, stop Trump. She was appointed by Obama, and within 3 hours, I think it was, after she claimed that she's not going to enforce Trump's decisions, he fired her, which is his first fire, official fire, and it was great. It was perfect because he has the right the president has the right to let anybody in or keep anybody out, and there's no test as to you can't do it on religious terms or on which country they come from, which nationality. He can do it for any reason he wants, and that's the law. So, but I think a bigger issue with all that is the people who are already in this country that Obama let in the country. I think it was about 10 million illegal, undocumented immigrants. A lot of these people he let in, he did it on purpose. He knew Trump was getting in, especially at the end. They just opened the border, said, anybody wants to come in, come on in, let it happen. And right now, Trump is struggling to reverse all these criminal policies that Obama had started. Can he do it? I don't think he can do it without the help of the left. That's why I keep getting back to, a Trump-Sanders team would be good for America. Trump doing it unilaterally, you're going to piss off too many people.
Well, the people we're pissing off are people that aren't citizens. I mean, they're just not citizens. Most of these people are not citizens. I don't really care what they think.
But it's also a large. Well, I live in California, so you're going to see a large portion of both coasts saying, no, you have to be nice to people. You have to love them. You have to let them in. This is what America's all about. Well, America was destroyed long ago with the opening of the floodgates for immigration, and it's seen in California all over the place. We are the most indebted, or will be soon, the most indebted state in the whole union. And yes, we pay a lot in the federal payments, and California's saying, well, if Trump's going to stop the federal payments to us, we'll stop our federal payments to them. All this goes round and round, and there will be no secession of California for a very simple reason. And that simple reason is it would destroy the monetary system. The global monetary system would be destroyed. Same with Europe and people leaving the EU. It would destroy the EU. Destroying the EU will destroy the derivative bubble. And then you've got 50 other problems, and that in matter of weeks, it'll come to the U.S. So, yeah, all this stuff is so precarious right now, but that's the plan. The plan is to destroy the unbacked fiat money system and move on to something new.
That's what you have said for a long time with your road to root. It's actually road to root A in your, with the Federal Reserve's, dark, deep plans that you've researched on. But aren't we going to get a breakup of the EU anyway? I mean, we already have a Brexit. We already have Marine Le Pen in France leading. Merkel is in deep, deep trouble. I mean, the whole European scam is a scam, and it's in deep trouble. I mean, if that goes under, I mean, isn't this the year we get the derivatives implosion?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just look at, people keep saying, well, if Greece leaves the EU, it's not going to affect the rest of Europe. Yes, it will. It will destroy all the debt based on Greek bonds. It will destroy all the banks. Deutsche Bank, great example. Deutsche Bank goes, JP Morgan goes, Citibank goes, all the banks go. And then the derivative implosion happens. And that's That's always been kind of the home-built nuclear bomb in the financial system, is the derivative market, the hundreds of trillions, quadrillions in derivatives that are so dependent upon third parties staying in business, because they are the counterparty to Deutsche Bank and Citibank and JP Morgan. Once one large derivative holder goes, they all go. And we almost saw it in 2008. I think we're real close to it again. I think Trump is going to push that ticket. I'm not happy with Trump's Treasury Secretary pick on one hand, because he is the king of market rigging at Goldman Sachs. He heads the IT department at Goldman. Mnuchin, yeah. His father was a Goldman Sachs lifer who was on the board of directors of Goldman Sachs, just the heart of the evil part of the banking cabal. Mnuchin is just an evil human being. And I think Trump did it for a reason, being that he's going to have to fire someone, or someone is not going to make it through the congressional gauntlet. So hopefully Mnuchin's going to be the sacrificial lamb, get him out of there and get someone who's not going to rig the markets going forward. Because if Mnuchin gets in, that's the first thing he's going to do, is continue the market rigging.
Do you think that that we're close to this derivatives explosion, this implosion right now? Do you think it's this year?
Well, I do think it's this year. I think it could happen at any moment. I think Trump has long said that we're in some huge bubbles and they got to pop. He doesn't want them popping after he's fixed half the things in America. So I would assume he's going to pop them very soon in the first few months of his administration. And we're into that now. There are certain people I know that he needs to get in place, because the popping of this bubble is the big mother of all bubbles.
Oh, so wait. Let me get it. So he is rushing to get his people in place so he can execute his plan. You're saying he has a grand plan. Things aren't just going to happen willy-nilly. You're saying that he's going to get his people in place and he's going to force the collapse, the reorganization.
Yes, but it's not his grand plan. This is the plan of the good guys that I've been talking about, going back to Alan Greenspan in the early 70s, when he wrote the original computer programs to make this financial system a reality.
That's Root A. That's Root A. That's the program. Okay, go ahead.
Root A is the basis of the computer monetary system. It was invented in the 1960s by John Kemeny and Alan Greenspan. Alan Greenspan brought it to the Fed, was rigging markets for the U.S. government in the 70s, 80s, all based on this economic formula called On the Road to the Golden Age from the 1960s. It said if you're going to return to a gold-backed system, first thing you do is run the unbacked fiat system as long as possible, soaking up all the benefits, and then crash the system when the benefits no longer, the pain and suffering doesn't match your benefits. And that's kind of where we are with the United States. As all the power goes east, the economic power, we need to get out of this system and move on to something else.
One other thing about Donald Trump is that I think if Hillary Clinton would have been in, she'd have been like, sure, we'll give you Wyoming and Nevada, and you can set up your economic zones and your own countries within our countries. That ain't going to happen with Trump. He's going to say, yeah, you made a bad investment. Sorry, we're going to reorganize, and we have nukes, and you want us to be reorganized. You're not going to set up a country inside of our country. We're not giving away our property. That's what Trump is likely going to do. Do you agree that he is going to basically just default on the debt? Sorry, you made a bad investment, or am I wrong?
Well, it's not a default on the debt. All you have to do to crash the system is to stop rigging the gold and silver markets, which is a daily basis. They rig all markets, all the currency markets, all the stock market, the gold and silver markets, the oil market. The petrodollar is going away, and that was all done with computer programs and rigging. So it's not like we're defaulting on anything. The dollar has never been backed by anything, other than the full faith and credit. At least since 1971, it wasn't backed by oil. The petrodollar was a scam invented by Kissinger in the 70s to get Saudi Arabia and all the countries to only purchase oil in U.S. dollars. And what that did was create an artificial demand for the dollar, because every country had to hold U.S. dollars to buy oil, and everybody needed oil. And then the Saudis would recycle that money through our stock market, getting our large corporations rich, and that's how they invented the petrodollar. But that's breaking down too. And the interesting thing is, in the Road to Ruta comics that I look at from the Federal Reserve, that's what they talk about. They call them black tears. The oil is black tears that back the gold system that the Federal Reserve talks about. And this is all done behind the scenes. Yeah, we can see all the fighting between the Democrats and the liberal and the left and the Republicans, the left and the right. It's all just a show. There's so much deeper things going on behind the scenes, where the real battles are going on, taking out the Rothschilds and George Soros and the Clintons. I mean, Trump could end this battle between the Democrats and the Republicans, the left and the right, tomorrow if he actually revealed what was really going on with the Democratic Party and why they wanted to open the borders and why they wanted to give up our sovereignty. I mean, it is a huge secret plan, and all you got to do is go through Hillary Clinton's, 600,000 emails, 650,000 emails, and you're going to find all kinds of dirt on the Clinton Global Initiative and all the
global
the
charity
things.
fraud. Yeah, I've been reporting to global charity fraud for over a year. I've had Charles Ortel on. Now it's closing down because they've done too much good for people. It's closing down.
Well, exactly. They can't get any. They can't get any kickbacks from the Clintons anymore because they're no longer in charge of the government.
So why do you think we're close to a economic reset, an implosion, a derivatives problem, the whole system resetting, changing, whatever? Why do you think we are close?
Well, I know that Donald Trump is in charge of the Exchange Stabilization Fund. So it's basically he has the keys to ending this market rigging game. And once you end the market rigging game, then you can't support the stock market, and everything has to go to its true fair market value with real trades, no more derivatives. So Trump can do it. The question is, does he want to? And it's not just Trump. It's the people who are behind Trump. I call them the good guys.
The
Trump's
Pentagon.
Well, there's people at the Pentagon, in the military, patriots, going back since the 60s. A lot of these guys are looking for a little retribution on the bad guys taking out Kennedy. But all this goes back to, what does Trump want to do? Trump and his people, do they want to fix things, go down that road of starting to fix things with the bubbles still there, with the Fed still printing money? Or does he really want to fix them, which means you crash the system first and then you rebuild? I think it's the latter. I think he's trying to get people in place, and then he will crash the system and rebuild.
Well, then what happens to, and this is one of the reasons why I sent you a tickler. You said, hey, gold, silver, and the Dow are going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. Is that what you said? Dow and silver, a 1-to-1 ratio? But he said gold.
Even better than that, I said gold.
Oh, gold.
Silver and gold.
Okay, what's going to happen then? I may have screwed that up, but I know silver way high. Even Cliff High is saying that silver is going to be, with his models, his halfpasthuman.com. Cliff High, he says silver is going to be so undervalued right now. It's not even funny. He's just saying the near term, fairly near term, is around $600 an ounce. What do you say for silver and gold? What happens to silver and gold when the system resets?
Well, they'll have to be traded freely. There will no longer be billions, hundreds of billions of ounces of electronic silver trading back and forth to set the price. Now, silver has been controlled and rigged and price suppressed since the 1850s, since the Opium Wars. That's how far back it goes. And ever since then, it's been under control by these banksters, as I call them, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. It's all part of the monetary system. And if you look at since the 30s and 40s, when electronics and different types of communication, like what we're talking about right now, all this stuff needs silver. And all that silver has been used up. About 40 billion of the 50 billion ounces have been used, and they're since the 1950s. And right now, we're looking at maybe 2 to 3 billion ounces of silver that can come into the market, and that's just not enough. And because they rigged the price on the COMEX and the LBMA, and because there's only a few billion ounces of silver left in the world, all the gold is still there. It's just hiding in the vaults of people. Silver's gone. It's been consumed. It's in the landfills all around the world, in your cell phone, in your flat screen TV, and in solar panels. The future is if I don't think there's enough silver even to use in the monetary system going forward. I think silver is going to be too valuable to use as money. Gold, I do think, will be part of the new monetary system. Silver will be much too valuable because we need it. We need it for new technologies. We need it for the current technologies, and we're running out. Silver is usually found on the higher levels of the earth, and gold can be found, high and low. So we found most of the silver that we can. And if you look at I think it's the table that the USGS sends out of when these elements will be the first ones to go away. Silver is always right up there at the top. 16, 17 years at current consumption rates, silver will be gone. So I think silver will be massively valuable, even at least or even more than a 1-to-1 ratio with gold.
Oh, so you think at some point, so if gold goes to 10,000 an ounce, silver is going to go right along for the ride at 10,000 an ounce? That's what you're telling me?
Yeah, if it's freely traded. That's the key also. There's no physical exchange for silver right now. There's a COMEX exchange, which is futures and options. There's a physical delivery component of that, which never gets exercised, and there's limits on how much you can withdraw. And then there's the LBMA, which is supposed to be a physical market, but given the amount of transfers they say they have, which is in the hundreds of billions every year, it's not. They're lying. And the funny thing is, you look at Deutsche Bank admits that they were rigging the silver market, and they turned in a bunch of other banks that were rigging with them, and the CFTC has done nothing about it. They did 3 investigations into silver manipulation. Here we have a confession in court that they rigged the silver market, and the CFTC still hasn't said a word about it. Amazing.
Do you think that that things will be tough when this reset happens? What happens to people? How do you prepare, and what happens to people who don't?
Well, hopefully, the United States has been planning on this for a long, long time. We've known there's been a problem. Greenspan wrote about it in the early days in the 60s and 70s through the Road to Ruta comics and the information that came out of the Fed Boston. We know this is going to happen. Catherine Austin Fitts always says, "Who's going to be the one to press that red button and make it happen?" And that's kind of the key. So I think the United States has a plan. It involves going back to a gold standard. I think it involves Bitcoin as well. That's why you're not seeing laws outlawing Bitcoin. I think the United States will return to some form of gold standard with a Bitcoin component. I think the Fed will be gone, dust, toast, done. There's too many bad people there. There's some good people there too, but there's too many bad people. Stanley Fischer, the number 2 guy at the Fed, is running the show right now. I think when the crash happens, Mnuchin will be gone, the Stanley Fischer will be gone, Yellen will be gone, and the Fed will be folded up into the U.S. Treasury. But you have to get gold and silver and Bitcoin to survive.
What happens to all that debt that the Fed has? Are we just gonna? Sorry, you made a bad investment, y'all. What about our Treasury bonds? What happens?
Nothing. They disappeared. These are credit. Debt is a credit. It's an electronic blip. Truthfully. That says one person owes another person X amount of these electronic credits. When the derivative bubble goes, the banks go. And if the banks go, that's where everybody keeps their money. Even the governments keep their money in banks. So, yeah, it's gone. All the debt is gone, which is a great thing. Electronic assets are gone as well, though. So there's going to be a need to reissue money, to reallocate money. And the Fed talks about it in the Road to Ruta comics. The way they do it is they reallocate according to age. And so if the more you've paid into the system via Social Security, that's why Social Security isn't allowed to be messed with. That's going to be the reallocation to the people. That way, the people who've worked the hardest and the longest get the most first, and then the other people, the younger people, will build over time. It's a fairly fair way, but even the Fed says they're not sure if that's going to work.
So you think, and just so people understand this, you think that we're on the precipice of this? What would you call it? Is it a reset? Is it a crash? What would you call this? Are we on the precipice of this?
We are. The question is, Trump was put there to make it a smooth transition. Whether a smooth transition is possible, I don't think so. What I would call it is a creative destruction event. And a creative destruction event is a purposeful destruction of a system that is no longer viable. And then the creative part of it is that you get to start fresh. All the debt will be gone. That's the problem with the world today. Our financial system, every country, every city, every state, every individual is in so much debt, and that debt was created from thin air by these band of criminal bankers. It's a good thing it's going away. The problem's going to be people who believed in the system have electronic assets as well, and you can't get rid of the bad guys because they have most of the electronic assets without getting rid of all of them. So that's what's going to
So if
happen.
you have a 401k or a brokerage account or a bank account with a lot of Federal Reserve notes in it, you're going to get creamed.
Well, there's 100 problems with stocks in the stock market. That even according to the SEC, over 200 million shares are not settled every day. Settled meaning, you gave your money to Schwab. Schwab is supposed to go out, buy the stock, put it in your name, and stick it in your account. That's not what happens. They put it into a pool, and then they lend out your money to other people. And if everybody decided to cash in their stocks at one moment, there would be 10 people claiming the same exact share of stock. So there's a big problem there.
Oh, same with the gold market. If everybody
Yeah.
went and asked for their gold, there'd be 10, 15 claims in every bar of gold out there, is what you're saying. So you're saying the same thing's happening with stocks. So you have basically a counterfeiting, a Ponzi scheme, so to speak.
It's fractional reserve. It's fractional reserve money, fractional reserve stocks, fractional reserve bonds, and they'll say it's something different, but it's all derivatives of these actual assets. And yeah, when the music stops, you have to pray that Charles Schwab is still in business so that they can hand you that share that they never actually put in your name. All these shares are put into the name of Seed and Company, which is supposedly it's owned by potentially the Rothschilds or someone else. But that's the holding company for all these brokerage houses and the banks. It's all goes into Seed and Company, held at the DTCC in fraudulent accounts, and they do the same rehypothecation and fractional reserve games that are done on the banking level. So yeah, it's a global issue, and the Fed knows exactly what's going on, and the plan is to implode the system. I don't know what day it's going to happen. I believe that Trump is trying to foment a smooth transition out of the old system into the new one. But at the end of the day, you got to get rid of the concentration of these assets are in the hands of a few. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Well, this could be like that movie, The Purge. Where for one night you get to just kill anybody you want, which is we laugh because it's only a movie, it's make believe, but things could get violent, and you're in California. I mean, I couldn't think of a worse state, New York, to be when at least down in New York City. That worst place to be when this thing goes. I mean, you're talking about all electronic assets will go poof, basically. And are you forecasting, a rough transition, violence? People going crazy in the streets, burning stuff down, stealing, like the movie Purge.
Well, yeah, I think they're getting hyped up now, and we don't even have a hiccup in the banking system because the system is still rigged. Those of you saying, "Oh, Trump's such a good guy," well, tell him to stop rigging the markets. Tell him to stop rigging the gold and silver markets. So yeah, he wants a smooth transition.
Well, he's been in office for a week, so I mean.
Well, but he's in charge. He was in charge on January 20th at 12 o'clock. He was in charge of the Exchange Stabilization Fund, and they're still rigging the gold, silver markets. They're still rigging the stock market. Now, I do think the plan is to slowly let the rig go, but at some point you're going to have to crash it. You're going to have to let reality sink in and then go back to physical markets for gold and silver, where someone has cash, walks into an exchange and exchanges it for physical silver. We don't have that in the world right now, and it's a big problem. Right now we have electronic derivatives deciding the price of everything, from stocks to bonds to the gold market. And I do think Trump will let it go. I think he's trying to get people in place in the right places.
And the Democrats are blocking him. Are they blocking him to slow him down? Are they blocking him because why are they blocking him? I mean, they obviously can't do it. They have a majority in the Senate. They can press the nuclear option and say, we're going to vote party line. they can do that. Why are the Democrats trying to block him? Why are they trying to slow him down? Is there something more than just partisan politics in your mind?
Yeah, it's life and death for the Democratic Party, which I think both the Democrats and Republicans will be exposed for what they are, which is both criminal organizations, and they're trying to block it because that's all they got left. They have nothing left that they can do. He's reversing all of Obama's presidential decrees, and they don't like it. And like I said, we're in a socialistic. For the last 8 years, it's been very socialistic. When you give somebody something and then you take it away, that's when they get really pissed off. If they weren't given all these free things by Obama
and rights like voting,
oh yeah, and open borders and all that Obama gave over the last 8 years, then there wouldn't be a gigantic problem right now. It would be a more smooth transaction. But they were, and now Trump is threatening, or they think he's threatening, to take away their rights.
Well, he is going to take it away, but they're not rights.
But were they rights? Exactly. So, is it the right of I saw the Women's March, and they were saying Obama's taking away my rights to birth control, and Obama's not taking away your rights to birth control.
Trump.
Oh, Trump. Sorry,
yeah.
I keep getting them mixed up. That tells you something. What he's doing is making it so that the government's not letting you get it for free. All he's saying, you have the right to pick whatever you want. You just can't get it for free, and that's this big issue that this woman had. And I'm like, where in the Constitution does it say that the federal government is required and is one of your rights to get free contraception or free anything? And see, that's the problem. And when in a socialist society, which we have been leaning towards, when you start taking things away, that's when the people start uprising. And yeah, when the banks go, that'll be the big kicker, because even the people with no money will lose everything, and they're going to look to blame anybody and everybody. I see the rise of Bernie Sanders when that happens.
Do we have basically a good guy? This is basically a fight of good versus evil, and the evil is the old system, the rigged system. Am I getting this right? And the good is the new. And I hate to say, Donald Trump, but he doesn't need a job that pays $400,000 a year. And so, is this really a classic fight of good and evil? Is that what this is?
Oh, it is, and I believe it has been won in the background. This is the taking down of the Illuminati.
You think it's been won in the back? Why do you say that? Why do you say that this battle between good and evil has been won? Just because of the election of Donald Trump?
Well, that's one of the things. The Brexit is another thing. These things weren't allowed to happen when the bad guys were in control. George Soros owns the company that makes the voting machines. If the bad guys were still in charge, Trump would not have won. Not a chance in the world. But they aren't in charge anymore. I was telling people Trump's going to win because he can rig the market, rig the voting machines now, because he's in his people, the good guys, are in charge of that side of it now. That's why Clinton lost. She didn't have enough rigging power, and I'm not saying that Trump would have lost the election. Clinton was a absolute criminal, but they had a good rigging mechanism going for a long, long time, both computer rigging and actual, getting people to vote 5 or 6 times, busing them from place to place.
That happened in Wayne County. Thank you, Jill Stein. That happened. That actually confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was all rigged, and it always has been rigged since the invention of electronic computers that pose as voting machines. All you have to do is have the key to the mainframe that tabulates all the votes, which the bad guys have had since the early 70s, and now the good guys have it. The bad guys were taken out, and that's why you're seeing all this change and all this uproar. And if the people, Trump can end the violence in the streets only with an easy thing: just release the information he has about the Clintons, about the Republicans, and about the Democrats, and how criminal they are, and the Bushes. Release all it takes is telling the truth, and the United States can return to a peaceful type of place. If you don't tell the truth, you're going to get fights in the streets from people who have no idea why they're fighting. They just don't like. They seem to think they don't like what Trump stands for, but they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't know that their lives have been stolen from them, and our country was stolen before the 60s. But really, truly, they took power after they took out Kennedy. This has now changed, and it really is a coup. It was a peaceful and silent coup, but it was a coup, and now is the time that Trump needs to tell the people what really happened to them.
And finally, just a couple of quick things. What would you be selling if you were a seller? And what would you be buying if you were a buyer? What would you sell? What would you buy?
Well, I have a report of a timeline. Now, I know timelines, everybody gets them wrong. I've gotten it wrong a million times. I can tell you why all this stuff is going to happen. I just can't tell you when. Now,
but in general, what would you sell if you the assets you had? What would you sell, and what would you buy? What would you sell and what would you buy? Just very simply, what kind of things would you be buying now to protect yourself and prepare, and what would you be selling to reduce your risk?
Well, it's very simple. On the sell side, sell anything that has a third party between you and your hard asset, and that could be stocks, bonds, whatever it might be. And buy side, buy Bitcoin with both feet and get it out of the system. Pull it out of the online wallets and put it onto a hard drive or a paper wallet. Buy a lot of silver, as much silver as you can. There's a lot of gold out there, a lot more gold than they're telling you, but buy gold as well. It'll do okay. Silver will do the best. And if you're looking to make money, silver and Bitcoin, you can't go wrong.
Bix Weir, the fabulous Road to Ruta. That's all you do now. I mean, you have all this experience in finance and all this experience with GATA, although you still you're involved with the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. But Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. I know there is free information on the site. Do you have a sign-up page? Do you have a subscription page as well?
Sure. The emails are free. Just put your name and email in. There's an annual subscription. I sell reports and books and things like that also. So check it out.
Okay. Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. Thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you, Greg.